Okay, so hey guys, welcome to the session. So guys, this session is on verbal ability, and what we're going to basically do in this session is to discuss questions of parajumbles and to discuss questions of odd one out. Okay, so that is the plan that we go through, and this will help you in revising all the concepts of parajumbles. It will also give you something to practice, and these are the two things that we're going to practice. One is parajumbles, and the other is odd one out. Okay, so guys, this session is brought to you on the platform of Unacademy. Unacademy is a premium learning platform. It's a digital platform on which you can take sessions. Now, guys, I hope most of you have already downloaded the app. If you haven't downloaded the app, you can always go to the Play Store and download the Unacademy app. Now, Unacademy, like once you download Unacademy, you get access to a lot of free sessions. You can also go in for subscription. That's the Plus program, and you can get access to plethora of teachers. So currently, more than 100 teachers are on the are on the Unacademy platform, and like they all teach for CAT. So you can get your own choice of teachers. Okay, so you can study from the teachers that you like best. Okay, so guys, so this is what my profile is. I had a 99.74 percentile in the verbal section CAT 2016. I had call from I'm Bangalore, I'm Indore, and I'm Shillong, and I have an MA and MPhil in English literature. I have been teaching students of CAT for the last 10 years. Okay, so guys, so what you see on the screen are some of the teachers who are currently teaching on the Unacademy app. So guys, you can attend the live classes. You can also watch the recorded sessions, and then you also have teachers who teach you in the vernacular language. Okay, that means the sort of language that you speak. Okay, so it becomes very convenient for you because you get to choose your own teachers, and you can have a collection of teachers from which you can study. Okay, so guys, this is the pricing plan. As you can see that the cheapest plan works out to be the 1 year plan. So once you buy the 1 year plan on a monthly basis, it works out to be the cheapest, and you can always use my code. My code is HSINGH, so you can use my code to buy this plan. Okay, so guys, what you have on the screen is the first question. Okay, so I think you can see the first question on the screen, and I want you people to go through this question, take around 3 minutes, and then we take it for discussion. Okay, so this is a question of parajumble. That means five options have been given on the screen, and you have to arrange these options in the proper sequence. Okay, so you have to arrange these options in the proper sequence. Let's see how many of you are able to solve it, and take around 3 minutes to solve the question. Okay, it should take you around 2 to 3 minutes, but then yes, 3 minutes like would also be appropriate. Okay, so guys, let's take this for discussion. So now if I look at the options, the best option to start a discussion is option fourth. And the discussion is basically about Hugh Jackman and his character. And we realize that the character used to be very strong, very powerful in the past, but now the character has become like very vulnerable, very weak, right? So we start the discussion with option fourth. When we first see Hugh Jackman in the new film Logan, his character is hungover and hobbling. Okay, so when we see in the movie, we realize that the character has now become very weak, very hungover, and hobbling. Okay, so that is where that is the option that sets the context of discussion. So this is what we want to talk about. Now we go on to the option third. So you can see in option third you have it. Okay, now it refers to the character. Okay, character. Okay, so how is the character? The character is a shambolic shadow of the former self the slashing superhero Jackman had played in several films over the 17 years. So obviously now the character has become very weak and vulnerable, and it used to be very powerful and very strong in the past. Okay, so now it's just the shadow of that. Okay, then the Wolverine we had come to know is vigorous and invincible. Okay, so that was in the past. So what has happened in the present now? Okay, so what has happened to Wolverine? Now he is worn out and racked with chronic pain. He self-medicates with booze. So, so guys, this is like how we know him, the Wolverine, and this is what has become of it. Okay, that is now he's worn out and wrecked with chronic pain and self-medicates with booze. Okay, so clearly there is a link between first and fifth option because it talks about the two states of Wolverine, like how Wolverine was there in the past and now how Wolverine has become in the present. Okay, now if I look at the fifth option, it says now he's worn out and wrecked with chronic pain, he self-medicates with booze. So guys, this is talking about the current state of Wolverine, and if I look at the current state, I can link it to second option because second and fifth both options talk about the current state of Wolverine. Okay, so how he is right now. Now we can see his claws are malfunctioning, his healing powers are fading, and his toxicity of his metal laced skeleton is slowly killing him. So that would be the sequence, and the answer would be 43152. Okay, so let's have a look at this next question. Okay, guys, so let's take this for discussion. Okay, so the sequence in this case would be 2 1 5 4 3. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we start the discussion with second option. The most obvious area for savings is in actual wages and benefits, but many mainstream conservatives and libertarian publications have written a lot about this issue, so I want to focus on inefficient work rules. So, guys, the agenda of the discussion is that the author wants to focus on one thing, and that is inefficient work rules, because he believes that that one area of savings refers to the actual wages and benefits is something that has already been discussed, and many mainstream conservatives etc have discussed this issue very like it has been discussed enough time, so he is more focused on discussing on inefficient work rules. Okay, so that is his starting option. Now, because it talks about the rules, so you can see in first option again you have the rules. These are the rules. So you can see that this is the demonstrative pronoun. Okay, so these refers to the rules. So we can clearly link second to first option. Okay, so that is 2 1. Now it says these are rules that are written into our union contracts hashed out in political processes and management doesn't have the authority to overturn them. So first option makes it clear that these rules cannot be overturned. Okay, now if I see option fifth and option fourth, okay, it says I found surprisingly little on the issue in the academic literature, but there is plenty on it in the newspapers. So, guys, again, he's talking about rules only, and he finds that there's very little available out these contractual rules and union contracts. Okay, very little is available in the academic literature, but then there's a lot of it in the newspapers. Now, once he mentions this, then he can say, here is a roundup of the major issues. Okay, so he is talking about the major things that you could find from the newspapers and the various American transit unions. Okay, so clearly the sequence is 5 and 4 because in both cases he's talking about his research on like on the union contracts, rules, etc. Okay, so that is 5 and 4, and then finally, because he has already said that he has a roundup. Roundup means he has made a list sort of thing of the major issues that I found that he found in major American transit unions. So now you can say the list is by no means comprehensive. So what is this list? This list is the same list that he made in the fourth option. So that is that third follows the fourth option. Okay, so third comes in the ending. So this is the sequence 2 1 5 4 3. Okay, so let's have a look at the next question. Okay, guys, so let's take this for discussion. Okay, so let's see. Now, if I look at the question, okay, okay, so guys, let's see how we can make the links in this question. Okay, so first, when I see the fourth option says there is a more optimistic way to interpret the Newark experience, much of which has to do with the success of the city's fast growing charter schools. Okay, so the discussion starts from the fourth option, and the discussion is about the success of the charter schools, and the author is trying to understand the reasons for that. Okay, now if I look at this option second, okay, it says the reasons are obvious. Okay, now reasons for what? The success of the charter schools. Okay, so I can link it like this, right? So the reasons are obvious. Okay, so what is the reason for success of charter schools? Let's see. Okay, now if I look at option fifth, okay, so this is the reason. Okay, so these are the obvious reasons. Unencumbered by the bureaucracy and label and the legacy labor cost, charters can devote far more resources to students, providing the kind of wraparound services that students need. Now, this is the reason. Okay, the reason is that there is no restriction of bureaucracy and there's no like legacy labor cost. So the charters have more money to spare and they can provide the students with better services. Okay, so that means that second and fifth are linked because obviously second option makes the plan clear that okay these are the reasons. Okay, so these are the reasons, and fifth option actually has the reasons, right? So that is 4 to 5. Now, if I look at first and third option, it says an analysis by the Advocates for Children of New Jersey noted a substantial persistent achievement gap between the students at charter and traditional public school. So first option is telling us the fact that okay there's a very big gap between charter schools and traditional public schools. Now, if you look at the example of the gap, okay, so this is example of the gap between charter and public schools, charter and traditional public schools. So this is, for example, while 70% of charter schools in Newark passed third grade language arts test in 2013-14, higher than the state average 46%, only 41% schools Newark traditional public school. So guys, this is very obvious that first option ka analysis, okay, first option which mentions that okay there's a very big gap between the performance of charter schools and traditional public schools, and the example of that is something that comes into option third. So we can very clearly see that first and third option are also linked because first option talks about the analysis and third option actually gives us the example of that analysis, right? So that is the answer 4 to 5 1 3. Okay, guys, so let's take this for discussion. Okay, so we start the discussion with option third. It says he moves away from the others, their constant chat blending into a tedious, monotonous sound in his head. So we're talking about a person, and it looks as if he's not interested in conversation. So he moves away from the group in which of which he was a part of. Okay, so we started discussion with third option. Now he's not sure if it's the jet lag or he's simply not interested in what's going on. So guys, this gives us the reason why he's moving away from that group. Okay, and he's himself not sure that what is affecting him, whether it's the jet lag because of which he's not interested, or like there's something else. Okay, so that is 3-5, and we know that okay, he's not interested in conversation, he's not like he does not want to remain in the group for long, right? So that is 3-5, that is like. Now if I see, it says first option says it could be both. Now what is both? It can be jet lag and not interested. Okay, so both things. So if I look at both, the reference of both comes in fifth option. Okay, so he's not sure whether it's the jet lag or he's simply not interested in what's going on. So it says it could be both. Okay, he feels elsewhere detached. Okay, so that means 5 and 1 are linked, and because both has been used, it needs a reference which comes from the fifth option. So that is 3-5-1. Now, if I look at fourth and second option, it says if he yawns one more time, his companions will have no hesitation calling him out on it. So, guys, he's becoming bored and he's yawning. And he knows that if he is going to yawn one more time, then people will recognize that, okay, he's not simply interested, and like someone will make a comment or something. Okay. And if I now look at this second option, it says they didn't notice him break away from them, or if they do, they don't comment. So, this is what is happening. Finally, he decides to break away, and before he broke away, he was actually yawning, and he knew this thing that if someone is going to see him yawning, okay, he's going to be called out for that. Okay, so someone is going to comment, someone is going to make some sort of remark that why you are yawning. So what he does is that he finally decides to move away from the group, and as he moves away from the group, okay, the surprising thing is that no one actually paid attention. Okay, so this will be the complete sequence, that is 3-5-1-4-2. Okay, so this is the complete sequence, and this is the answer. Okay, have a look at this question. Take around 3 minutes. This is an actual cat question. Okay, so let's discuss this, guys. Okay, so let's see. So we started discussion with the option second. Okay, so second option says, as researchers working in South Asia, a region that remains home to the highest number of people living in extreme poverty, we have witnessed the pervasive effects of data deprivation on the ground. So, guys, the discussion is going to be about the data deprivation and the results of data deprivation on ground, and like we will see in this discussion how data deprivation affects text collection and a lot of other things as well. So, we start the discussion with option second, and then to talk about data deprivation and to talk about the challenges faced due to data deprivation, then we move on to the option fifth. So, this is the introduction. And now we move on to fifth. When tax administrators were asked in Pakistan about work challenges, it was assumed that underreporting would be the crux of their woes. So now there was an assumption that what could be the biggest problem for tax people? Okay, most people said that maybe underreporting of the incomes. But then fifth option makes it clear that it's not actually underreporting. Okay, the challenge is something else. Okay, so what is that something else? Let's see. Now look at first option 251. Okay, now see, first option starts with instead. That means the crux of woes or the main worry is not underreporting. So what is that main worry? Okay, now it starts with instead. Instead, these administrators describe the hardest challenge is identifying how much tax a citizen has already paid. So guys, this is the main challenge. Okay, it's not the underreporting, but knowing exactly how much tax has been paid by a certain person. Okay, so that becomes 251. Now, if you look at third option, it again substantiates or gives us more information about the lack of proper data. Okay, so again, if you look at third option, it again says the same thing. Usable data systems being absent, they can't verify sums collected and so require taxpayers to document taxes paid. Okay, so that means this is again, see, this is the continuation of what we've just said. Okay, no one knows exactly how much tax has been paid. Okay, so that is already mentioned first option, and in continuation of that, it says that there are no data systems present. Okay, so like data systems are absent, so no one can actually verify how much tax has been paid and how much tax is pending still. Okay, so that is 2513. Okay, now we're only left with fourth option, so we kept it in the ending. Since most taxpayers fail to provide such evidence, the tax administration is unable to undertake basic tasks. Okay, so now guys, the thing is that the tax system uh, lacks data systems, and now because you cannot verify how much tax has been paid, so you cannot also take any action. Okay, so that is the sequence 25134. Okay, so look at this question, take around 3 minutes. Okay, so guys, let's take this for discussion. So let's first see which is the best option to start. Okay, so if I look at option fourth, how representative or chauvinist is popular media? It's a question that still intrigues a modern day feminists, some of whom rely on the Bechdel test. Does the movie have at least two women in it to talk to each other other than something about besides a man to figure out if films and TV show foster gender inequality? So, guys, the discussion is basically about the gender inequality that we normally see in movies in various films, and the author is suggesting that in order to check how chauvinist or how male centric the media is, let's like there's one way, and that is to run the Bechdel test, and which means that you have to see in which uh, at least two women are there in the movie, and they talk about things other than a man. Okay, so let's say this discussion is basically talking about generally about the idea that okay, how like how chauvinism is dominant in popular media, right? Now the reference of Bechdel test has come. So now look at fifth option. Okay, so if I look at fifth option, again the same thing is mentioned. Okay, you can see though Alison Bechdel famously came out. Okay, so you can see that's about the Bechdel test only. Okay, so that is 4 5. Though Alison Bechdel famously came up with the test. Okay, okay, though Alison Bechdel famously came up with the test in her Dykes to Watch Out for the comic strip in 1985, she wasn't the first to ponder how to assess media inclusiveness. Okay, so that is talking about the Bechdel test and describing like uh, she came up with the test. She wasn't the first, however, to ponder the excess of the media inclusiveness. Okay, so guys, both talk about the Bechdel test and who discovered the Bechdel test and all that. So 4 5 can be linked. Okay, so that is one thing that is for sure. Now, similarly, if you look at second and third option, again there's a link, right? So look at that. Okay, second and third option. Now, in fact, first, second, and third option, okay, all three are linked. Now, if I see a look at 1970 article by Jan Sinnott in her Off the Back shows that an earlier generation of feminists were considering and rating the chauvinism of pop culture. So, guys, you can see the full name has been mentioned in first option. Now, we all know that the surnames come after the full name. So, that means that first option obviously precedes second and third option. Okay, so in first option you have the full name, and in second and third option you just have the surname. Okay, so we know this that the surnames would always surname would always come after the full name. Okay, so in the first option you have the full name of the person, that is Jan Sinot, and second and third option you have the surnames. Okay, so you have the surname and then again you have the surname Sinot. Okay, so now let's see what is the sequence of second and third option. So let me read it out. Not explores the phenomenon of Saturday morning cartoons. Okay, so guys, this is where the morning cartoons has been explored for the first time, which was still less than a decade old in 1970. Okay, so the mention of morning cartoons has come for the first time in second option. Now, third option says designed to occupy kids. Okay, so now designed to occupy kids. So what is designed to occupy kids? Obviously, it's in reference to cartoons. Okay, so that means that second option is followed by third option, because third option is actually the extension of what you have already mentioned, and that is cartoons. Okay, so very clearly 1, 2, and 3 are linked together, and we can finally say that the answer is 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Okay, guys, so let's take this for discussion. 19 question. Okay, so let's start the discussion from this fifth option. Princeton in the summer smelled of nothing. Okay, so this is where we started discussion from. Princeton in the summer smelled of nothing. Now, If I look at the fifth option, which option follows the fifth one? Now, looking at the other option, the best option that follows fifth is second. Although Ephemeral like the tranquil greenness of the trees, the clean streets, and the stately home, the delicately overpriced shops, and the quiet, abiding air of earnest grade, it was this. So, guys, this is referring to the lack of smell, the lack of smell that mostly appealed to her. So, the connection is that okay, we have this person FMLU, and she likes the fact that Princeton has no smell. Now, guys, you can see that in fifth option, the idea of Princeton smelling of nothing has been first introduced, and then you move on to second option where it is mentioned that she liked the fact that this place Princeton smelled of nothing. Now, why does she say so that she liked places that smell of nothing? Because till now, the places that she have lived at, all those places have smelled distinctly. So now for her, this was a unique experience that this place is smelling of nothing. So you can see that second is connected with the first option. First, because the full name FMLU is mentioned in second, and now you can see she mentioned in the first option. So obviously, first should follow second option. Now, perhaps because the other American cities she knew well had smell distinctly. So guys, this makes a pair, and it also makes it clear that this was unique. That like the city was smelling of nothing, because till now her experience had been that all these cities have a distinct smell, and this was something that she found very attractive, or you can say something that was a unique thing for her, that now she has finally found a city that has no smell. Okay, so second and first option clearly are linked, and they all both talk about FMLU only. And then we have FMLU mentioned second option, and she mentioned in the first option. So pronouns always come after the nouns. Now we are left with fourth and third option. So let's see how we arrange fourth and third option. Now, if I see fourth option, it says Philadelphia had the musty scent of history. Now New Haven smelled of neglect. So if you see first option, it said other American cities had distinct smell. So guys, fourth option is actually an example of the other American cities having smell. So what are the other American cities? Because all discussion of other American cities will follow first option, because in the first option you mentioned for the first time that every other American city had some sort of smell. Okay, so what are the options for other American cities? Fourth and third option. Okay, so fourth and third option talk about the other American cities. Okay, and that becomes our sequence, that is 5 2 1 4 3. Okay, guys, have a look at this question. Okay, so let's discuss this. Okay, so guys, we start the discussion from third option. One of the first things that Barrister Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, so guys, you can see this that the full name is mentioned here. Another Gujarati did after he returned to India from South Africa in 1914 was to travel all across the country. So third option says that Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, he decided to travel all over the India uh, after returning from South Africa in 1914. Okay, that's the starting. That's good enough. Now let's look at first option. It says he realized if he had to fight for freedom, he first needed to understand the people. So, guys, this gives us a very clear cut reason why he was traveling all around the India. So, first option makes it very clear that he was traveling all around the India because he wanted to understand the people. So, first option makes it clear that the reason why he was traveling all across the India was to understand the people. And second, you find that you can see this that we have used the pronoun he. Now, obviously, he is replacement for Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. So we can clearly see that third option has the antecedent for the pronoun he. So that is 3-1 is a sequence. Now, let's talk about symbolism here, right? So you see that fourth option talks about symbolism, and again, your fifth option also talks about symbolic political acts. So we know that both fifth and fourth option talk about symbolism. Now the question is, which is the first option that talks about symbolism? So clearly, fourth option is the first option that talks about symbolism. It says Gandhi understood the power of symbolism like any other leader, like few other leaders did in India, in one of the most symbolic political acts. So, guys, this is the example of symbolism, symbolic act. So that means that the example should come after the definition. The example should come after the description of the fact that Gandhi believed in the power of symbolism. That means four and fifth are linked. Okay, so four is followed by fifth option. Now we see that in fifth option, the discussion talks about the Dandi March, right? Now, for the first time, Dandi March is mentioned in option fifth. Now, once you mention Dandi March, now you can progress to option second because again, we have Dandi March in second option as well. So it says that Dandi March was an iconic event watched and discussed globally. So very clearly, guys, this Dandi March ka discussion should follow fifth option. So that becomes 5 and 2. So that this is the whole sequence that is 3, 1, 4, 5, 2. Okay, so guys, have a look at this question also and take around 3 minutes. Then we take it for discussion. Okay, guys. So what's the discussion? What's the answer? It should be 4, 2, 5, and then finally 1 and 3. Okay. So let's see how the sequence works. We start the discussion with fourth option. Theory makes you desire mastery too. You hope that the theoretical reading will give you the concepts to organize and understand the phenomena that concern you. So the starting option says, the introduction says that when you start studying theory, you want to become the master as well. Okay, and you believe that if you indulge in theoretical reading, it will help you to enhance, to sharpen the concepts as well, and that is something that's going to make you the master. But guys, now we realize that theory in itself cannot make you the master. Okay, so this is the contrasting word, that is but, and it says but theory makes mastery impossible. So guys, you can see this, that it talks about theory and mastery, and again the contradiction is also theory and mastery. That okay, that contrary to what you believe, theory is not enough to make you a master. So what does second option say? But theory makes mastery impossible, not only because there's always more to know, but more specifically and more painfully, because theory is itself the question or questioning of presumed results and the assumptions on which they are based. Okay, so this is the problem with the whole idea of theory. Okay, now if you look at fifth option and then you look at 1 and 3, okay, so you find a sequence. The nature of theory is to undo through a contesting of premises and postulates what you thought you knew, so the effect of theory are not predictable. So fifth option says that when it comes to theory, the effects of theory are not predictable. Now, uh, so if the effects are not predictable, obviously it's next to impossible for you to become the master after studying theory. So now if you look at first option, it says you have not become master, but neither are you when you were before. And now if you see, you have different questions to ask and a better sense of implication of the question you put to work, you read. Now guys, this is in discussion with this is in consensus with your first option. Why? Because see, first option says that you were not the master before, and now also you are not the master. So so the discussion is about what you were before and what you are now, right? Okay, so you were neither the master before nor you are now, right? So now if you look at the questions before and the questions afterwards, so that is what is third option. You have different questions to ask and a better sense of the implication of the question you put to work, you read. That means that when you compare yourself to your prior self, you realize that now, though you have not become the master, but still you have better questions to ask. Okay, so this is basically continuation of what you discussed in first option, because in first option also the discussion was about what you were before and what you are now, and you're like you are neither the master before and nor you are the master now, but still you have gained in some sense because now you are asking better questions. Okay, so this is also one sequence that you can see 513 and 13 are linked together. So this is going to be the final sequence 4 to 5 1. Okay, so guys, let's look at the answer. So the sequence would be 3, 4, 1, 2, 5. Okay, so guys, this is what the answer would be. Let's see. But this model king is no saint, far from it. Then comes the fourth option. He cares nothing for law or good faith, but he is not cruel. Okay, so it's talking about the model king. So model king is the noun, and then he refers to the king. So that is 3, 4. And obviously he's not a model king, so that means you can mention these things, that he cares for nothing. He does not care for faith or law. Okay, so that's a good continuation. Then you look at first option. He orders great criminal to have noses or ears cut off or a hand, but he never takes a life. Okay, so that means this is something that he does, but then he still forgives people their life, and he does not take life. Okay, so he gives the punishment. Now, if I look at second option, he is extremely brave, and though he has been successful in his military campaigns, it has been by treaties and cunning negotiation that he has made himself the absolute king of Punjab and Kashmir. And then finally, if you look at the fifth option, it features also he is also shameless rogue who flaunts his viceroy Henry III did in the country. Okay, so guys, the sequence would be 3 1 2, 3 4 1 2 5. Okay, guys, so let's take this for discussion. Okay, so the sequence for 23rd question would be 25431. Okay, let's see. The action may be done consciously and with knowledge of the person in the manner of the older poets. It is thus true that Euclides make Medea slay her children, or again, the deed of horror may be done, but done in ignorance, and the tie of kinship or friendship is discovered afterwards. The Oedipus of Sophocles is an example, right? So, the first is an example of something done consciously, the action done consciously and with knowledge. Okay, so this is the example, this fifth one. And then now you mention the other aspect, and that is uh, a deed of horror done in ignorance. Okay, so the first is the description of something done consciously, the action done consciously, and then fifth option is the example of an action done consciously. Then you talk about ignorance. Okay, something can also be done in ignorance, and now you talk about the case of something being done in ignorance. Okay, so here indeed the incident is outside the drama proper, but cases occur when it falls within the action of the play. And then finally, you want to like now you're basically talking about the play. You can see this. Okay, so now what do you do in a play? You act in the play. So now comes the first option. But of all the ways to be about to act, okay, knowing the person, then not to act is the worst. Okay, so very clearly, third option is to be followed by option first. Okay, so we can see that 2 and 5th are linked, and then we realize that 4th and 3rd are also linked. Okay, and then finally the last two options 3 and 1 are also linked. Okay, so the final sequence would be 2, 5, 4, 3, 1. Okay, guys, so let's discuss this question. Okay, so this is the sequence 5, 4, 2, 1, 3. Okay. So we started discussion with fifth option. There are several common denominators in the background of white supremacist. So the discussion talks about the white supremacist and what are the common denominators that we find in the background of the white supremacist. Now, many of them, so them refers to white supremacist. Many of them grew up in unstable families, though they were not necessarily economically deprived. So clearly, this them refers to the white supremacist. So it comes after the fifth option. So that is 5 for Culling. Okay. Now let's look at second option. Problems such as child abuse, sexual abuse, parental neglect, or family substance abuse were common. So guys, this is like unstable family ka continuation, right? Okay. So what sort of unstable families? So this is what unstable families were all about, right? So that is 542. Now, you look at this, by the time they encountered, so again, this is about white supremacist extremism, they have already developed a lot of negative emotional characterization such as depression, anger, frustration. So, when will I mention this? After second option, because obviously, second option talks about child abuse, sexual abuse, parental neglect. Okay, so all these things result in this uh, negative emotional characteristics, depression, anger, frustration. So, very clearly, after second option comes the first option. And now, finally, when I concluded, that is when the hate groups step in, giving these young people not only an outlet for channelizing those feelings out, but also social and safe haven to practice them. So this is what becomes of these people when they have undergone all that frustration, anger, depression, etc. And hate groups then channelize the energy of these people onto those paths where they can feel as if they are serving some sort of purpose. So clearly, this third option puts the entire discussion to end because like the hate groups step in and they step in and they channelize the energy of these young people and also give them like a sense of like what you can say a sense that they have a purpose, okay, and they also give them a social and safe haven to practice the sort of thought process that they have. So clearly third option is the option that ends the discussion, so the sequence becomes 54213. Okay, so guys, this is odd one out. So five options are given. You have to find out which option is the odd one. Okay, so let's see this question. Now, the odd one out in this case would be fourth option, and the sequence will be 5132. Okay, so let's see. I met Juane Bernab in a buffet line at the Fiesta Inn during the Fulbright orientation in Mexico City. So again, you mentioned I was struggling to contain my toddler who had a like mess of limbs fighting to race freely up and down the corridor. So fifth option is followed by first option because again this is what the narrator of the incident is talking about. He was trying to control the toddler. Now she's beautiful. So this is the comment. Obviously the comment is on toddler. So one and three are linked. Okay, she's beautiful. Vine said, and we started chatting. Okay, so the comment is on toddlers, so 1 and 3 are linked. And finally, you have Vine, and we say VNA English is quintessential California. See, you say that now both start chatting. So obviously, once you start chatting, then only you can make a comment on someone's English. So that means this English second option, English is quintessential Californian. This can only come after third option. So that is 3 and 2 are linked. So this is the sequence 5 1 3 2. And the odd one out is fourth option because odd one talks about the features of a violinist. Obviously, this is something that is obviously superfluous and not related to the context at hand. Okay, so we can rule out this, and the odd one out is going to be fourth option. Okay, so guys, let's take this for discussion. Now, for this question, the answer is second option, and the sequence will be 4153. Okay, so the discussion starts with option 4. In the year 2000, Bud Baum, a corporate business development manager, has come all the way from Reykjavik, Israel. Uh, he never, he had never heard of Basadov until he looked at one of his family trees. Okay, so now this is the full name of the person. So obviously this is the starting option, and then you have the pronoun he, right? So he has never heard of this company Basadov, and that was his family name. Until he looked at one of his family trees, and then after first option comes the fifth option. Do you know why? Because fifth option talks about his great 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 grandfather. Now, guys, great 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 grandfather can only be recognized when you are looking at the family tree. Okay, so fifth option says, so that means first and fifth are linked. First and fifth are linked. Now, fifth option says, his great great grandfather, the renowned numismatist Abraham Marsbacher, was born there in 1812 and as a famous relative, the mountaineer and explorer Gottfried Marsbacher. Now, finally, the discussion comes to an end with third option. It says, in the first half of the 19th century, the era in which two men were born, almost one third of Besador's 14,000 residents were Jewish. Okay, so now who are these two men? Okay, two men. These are the two men. Okay, fifth option. Okay, what we have in the fifth option. So you have the first person, Abraham Merzbacher, and then you have the explorer Gottfried Merzbacher. So, because you have the reference of these two men in fifth option, that is exactly the reason why you have the third option that is linked to fifth option. So again, we can see fifth and third are also linked. So this becomes the entire sequence, and the odd one out is option third. It talks about the location of the Bavarian village, and so obviously this is not in the context of our discussion. So the answer is option third. Okay, guys. So let's discuss this question. So the odd one out in this question is option first. Okay, and the sequence will be 2453. Let's see. Okay, so we start the discussion with the second option. My Protestant pattern family has lived in Bassetov for generations. Okay, so we're talking about family living there for generations. I grew up there until I was 12 and my parents divorced. Okay, so obviously you are referring to Bassetov, so there refers to Bassetov. And we just started a discussion of generations, and you have been living there for generations, right? So like the like whoever is the author, he started living there at the age of 12. Sorry, he started living till he was 12 and his parents finally divorced. Okay, so 2 and 4 are linked clearly. When I asked my grandmother where our ancestors came from, the answer was always the same. And what was the answer? We have always been here. Okay, so this is the answer actually. So clearly there's a link between 5 and 3. Okay, so this is the question in fifth, and in third option you have the answer. So 5 and 3 are clearly linked, 2 and 4 are linked. So that is 2453, 2453. And if I look at the option that couldn't fit anywhere, and that is the discussion of father's father. Okay, so that is the odd one out. So that's going to be the answer. The odd one out is option 1. Okay, so let's solve this question. The answer to this question is fifth option, that is the odd one out, and the sequence would be 4312. Okay, so let's see. It comes in chapter 1 of The Great Gatsby, where the Fitzgerald introduces his dramatis personae. Our narrator, Nick Carraway, is chatting away aimlessly with his sophisticated cousin Daisy Buchanan and her equally sophisticated friend Jordan Baker. You make me uncivilized, Daisy. Okay, so we can see that this is the full name followed by the surname. So third is followed by second option. So that is uh, you have what else you have? Embarked upon his second glass of coffee, but rather impressive claret, Nick remarks that the conversation has grown up a bit too research for his taste. Okay, so guys, what we can see is that once we start the discussion with fourth option, okay, you mentioned what like who is the narrator of the entire thing? So that is given in the third option. That is Nick Carraway, right? And once you mention the full name of Nick, okay, now you're looking for the surname. You can see surname or just the name, okay, but not the full name. So you can see that Nick is mentioned again in first option. So we can see 431, and then the discussion is about he's talking about this person known as Daisy, and the remark is on Daisy. So we can see that one can be followed by option two. Okay, so that becomes the whole thing. That becomes the link 4312, and the odd one out is option. Okay, so let's discuss this question 29. The answer to this question is option second, and the sequence is 1345. Okay, so guys, let's see this. We started discussion with option first. Himalayan rivers fed by glacial melt water and monsoon rain offer an immense resource. So the reference, we're introducing Himalayan rivers and all that, okay, as a great resource. Now look at option third. They could spin turbines to light up the swaths of energy-starved South Asia. So what you're saying is basically this, that it's a great resource, Himalayan rivers, and these Himalayan rivers can help you spin turbines and light up sweats like large tracts of land in South Asia. So obviously they in option third is reference to Himalayan rivers. So one and three is clearly linked. Now let's look at fourth and fifth option. Exports of electricity and power for Nepal's own homes and factories could invigorate the dirt poor economy. Now you're talking about the dirt poor economy. Talking about the dirt poor economy. So if I see dirt poor economy. This is the dirt poor economy. National income per person in Nepal was $692 last year, below half the level of South Asia as a whole. So this is like with reference to the dirt poor economy. So fourth and fifth option is also linked because fourth option talks about the pathetic state of the economy of Nepal, and like in fifth option you actually have the real figures. Okay, $692 last year, which is like basically a very low figure. So that is 1 3 linked, 4 5 linked. So the sequence becomes 1 3 4 5. So which is the odd one out? The second option. Second option talks about recent earthquake in Nepal, which obviously has nothing to do with the entire discussion. So we can read out the second option. That becomes the answer. Okay, so let's take this question for discussion. Now, the odd one out here is third option, and the sequence is 4 5 1 2. Okay, we start the discussion with option four. Circumstantial evidence is indirect evidence that can be used to imply a fact, but that does not directly prove it. Okay, so circumstantial evidence is an indirect evidence, and it does not prove anything, and it can give you an indication or it can imply a fact, but it would not directly prove that. Okay, so now link it with option fifth. But circumstantial evidence found at a crime scene may provide a link between crime scene and suspect. So guys, this is how it is. This is an indirect evidence. That means it will not prove anything by its own, but it can always provide a link. Okay, so fourth option is followed by fifth option. Now look at first and second option. No one other than the suspect and the victim actually sees when the circumstantial evidence is left at the crime scene. Now, this is one statement which is explaining that no one exactly knows when the circumstantial evidence has been left at the crime scene. Now, you give an example to prove the above given statement. Now, you say, for example, finding a suspect's gun at the site of shooting is circumstantial evidence of the suspect's presence there. Now, obviously, no one has seen him uh, leaving the circumstantial evidence, right? And suspect and the victim are the only people who know, okay, what happened. So if you see that this is a very good example of what you just mentioned in option first, okay. So that means 1 and 2 are also linked. So the final sequence becomes 4, 5, 1, 2. So this is how we can link it together. And third option says, though admissible, circumstantial evidence is more often than not sufficient for conviction, right? Now, in this case, if you see, the third option is slightly negative about the whole idea of circumstantial evidence, because third option is actually saying that it's of no use. But then the rest of the options are a bit on the positive side, because they say that yes, circumstantial evidence also helps, and it at least provides you a link between the crime scene and the suspect. So going by the flavor of the discussion, we can say that third option is exactly the odd one out here. So the answer is going to be option third. Okay, guys, so let's take this question. Okay, so 21st, the answer is going to be option 4 and the sequence is 1423. Okay, so let's see this. We start the discussion with first option. In mouse studies, blocking the hormone solves the problem of obesity, increasing the calories burned, reducing abdominal fat, slowing bone loss, and even encouraging physical activity. Okay, so this is the solution, which like blocking the hormone, and it solves all these problems: obesity, calorie burn, reducing abdominal fat, etc., etc. Okay, so now if you see, fourth option talks about simple intervention. So what is that simple intervention? The simple intervention is just blocking the hormone. The notion that such a simple intervention could solve two big problems of obesity, well, aging has received attention, researchers has prompted commented in prestigious journals. So this is the intervention that you block the hormone and it solves the problem. So 1 and 4 are linked. Now look at second and third. It's super interesting data that said Dr. Daniel uh, Besenson, an obesity expert and professor of medicine at the University of Colorado School of Medicine. With obesity rising, we definitely need some new ideas. Okay, so now you talk about Dr. Dr. Daniel Bestman, and he's an obesity expert and professor of medicine at the University of Colorado. And like he's talking about some new ideas, some new data to work on. Now if you actually look at third option, it talks about the work that has been done. Okay, the work began when Dr. Mount Zaidi, a professor of medicine and medicine Mount Sinai University, became curious about whether reproductive hormone FSH affects bone density. So guys, this is exactly what the data is. Okay, and this is where like you talk about the new ideas, the new data that's coming in. And if you see that second and third are both talking about the uh, type of research and type of ideas, the type of innovations that are needed to actually prove the whole like the reason why this solution works, blocking the hormone. Right. So two and three are also linked together. So finally, we can say that the sequence becomes 1, 4, 2, 3. Okay, so guys, that would be all, and I will see you in the next session.